Hello there. It is. What day is it? I know it's Sunday. It is Sunday, December 29th, 1:42 in the afternoon. Um, Hope everybody had a good holiday. Mine was quiet. I'm down in Florida. My family's all up in New York, so it was a rather quiet holiday. A little bit of a progress report. Still trying to get back on track. Unfortunately, this last week or so, even with the holiday, work-related stress has been hitting me kind of hard. And then there were days when I would come home and I didn't even want to make dinner, let alone write. So I've kind of let that slip a little bit. But hopefully, going forward, I'll be able to get back to regular production. I'm hoping to do that this afternoon after I get all this finished. I want to try and do something a little bit different here. I want to start a series of posts, kind of like the one that I have called the Storyteller Rollout, where I will read excerpts from stories or poems and things that I like. This one, though, I want to deal with my future history and things that happen in my future. So I'm going to start today with a look at the enhanced humans. In general terms, as their name implies, they are humans who are enhanced. They're genetically designed to be stronger, faster, sharper senses, faster reflexes, have better physical traits, and that's applicable to one particular brand of enhanced humans. It started out just as an experiment, but then they quickly realized that they could generate a workforce with this, and very quickly enhanced humans became essentially a slave race. They are produced in batches of 50, about 1,000 a year. 20 batches around 20 government-controlled creches around the planet produce them. There's more than 20 creches around the planet, but only 20 a year can produce a batch of enhanced humans, and then it shifts to another 20. It's like if you're in a creche and you've just produced a batch of enhanced humans, you're not going to produce another one the following year. You're going to have to wait a while, and it's picked strictly by lottery. They are within my fictional future. They are essentially the hate group du jour. By the late 22nd century, humans have gotten over hating large segments of themselves of the race because of skin color, nationality, religion, politics, whatever. That's all behind us, unfortunately, since bigotry is hardwired apparently into human nature. Enhanced humans are the ones that they hate. Most regular humans see enhanced humans as not most, but a sizable portion of the population, at least within the home system, tend to not like enhanced humans. They see them as threats. They see these people being born at 1,000 a year, and they're coming out fully grown, ready to go after some basic education, and they see they're stronger, they're faster, they do most anything better after they get some experience. But so a large portion of the population just does not like them, and treats them and out hates them. Of the 1,000 that are born a year, about half of them are automatically sold right in, are automatically sold, essentially. It's called indentured. It says that they're indentured. They're literally slaves. The masters will treat them in whatever way they want. Some are better, some are not. Your indentures can be bought out, so you can eventually gain your freedom, either somebody buying them out or the master, terminating the ownership and letting them go. So the stories that involve enhanced humans, while I try not to have much of an agenda through my stories, in any story with an enhanced human in it, there's going to be something about racism, bigotry, and hatred and all like that. I try and show my enhanced humans as the better people, but they are not all better people, and we'll get to that. I'm going to be quoting from two of my books where I've talked about enhanced humans. First being On a Cold Wind, which centers around Carl and Adrastia, one of my main enhanced humans. The other is Stranger. The main character there, Denise Bell, is also an enhanced human. First, I'm going to quote from On a Cold Wind. This is in, what chapter is this in? This is in chapter 5. As Carly is making her way to the Division 5 building after having a run-in with outright bigot who doesn't really hate enhanced humans, but he doesn't think they should be free. Also has some interesting ideas about enhanced humans that Carly proceeds to prove wrong. And I quote myself, back in 2120, when the alpha enhanced humans were born, they were easily distinguished from normal humans. They were big, bulky, and generally bald. From what I've been told, they looked like those over-muscled bodybuilders from the 20th century. By 2160, the genetics of enhanced humans were refined into the more streamlined betas. That was when the trouble started. Someone thought the betas looked a little too much like normal humans. The later generations of betas were the first to have the bones of their right hands laced with beryllium, a man-made, low-grade radioactive, most often used in short-range marker beacons. Combined with specialized scanners, it was an easy way to keep track of enhanced humans. By the time I was born, or produced if your mind works that way, in 2172, the designers had succeeded. The gamma body type was completely indistinguishable from any other human. In 2170, when the first batch of gammas were still gestating in their artificial wombs, removing the beryllium was proposed. The proposal was shot down almost immediately. The argument went that since we looked too human, whatever that means, the beryllium was needed to separate us from the norms. Because of that beryllium, I can't even think about walking into 2/3 of the buildings here on Earth. Add to that the millions in the purist movement, plus bigots like Mr. Righteous who don't actually hate my sort but don't think we should be free. It's a wonder riots aren't breaking out across the planet. End quote. So that's a general overview of the enhanced human history of enhanced humans. They were first produced in 2120, and they were obviously they stood out. They were, picture your average male bodybuilder, bigger and bald. Now they were all intelligent. There were none. None of them were epsilon semi-morons. if you get the reference from Brave New World. But they were held back. They were not given a chance to learn. So they stood out because of their size. And one named Addison Dahl is actually the first enhanced human to demand his freedom. And he won. Because of that, from that point forward, and unfortunately I don't have a date for it. I'm sorry, it hasn't actually come up in a story yet, so I don't have an exact date for it. It was sometime between 2120 and 2160, so bear with me. He won his freedom, and from that point on, all enhanced humans had the possibility of being freed. Either being, as I said, either being granted their freedom or just having their indentures bought out, or or they could be bought, or they could be free from the get-go. The other half of the enhanced humans are declared free persons. Yes, I know that's grammatically not perfect, but that's what they call themselves, free persons. And they can go out and do whatever they wish. They just have to, be mindful that there are buildings that they're not going to be allowed into because of that beryllium. And it goes over, and I go through and as I go through that history from 2120 to 2160, there's a 40-year period there where it's just the alphas, and they keep trying different things to get them to be a bit more streamlined, if you will. The betas were more streamlined, but they were still kind of stood out if you knew what to look for. Basically, bigger, bulkier, and and that's when the beryllium was put on. There is no such element as beryllium. I came up with it as mentioned in the quote there. It's a low-grade radioactive that's used for short-range marker beacons. All enhanced humans born on Earth, get to that in a minute, have it bonded to the bones of their right hand, and it quickly diffuses through the rest of their systems, so that even if you took a blood sample from an enhanced human, you'd find a trace of the beryllium in their blood. And then finally, Carly's batch, director of Division 5, Xavier Bernard, his executive assistant, Marissa Tolliver, was part of the first batch of gamma enhanced humans, and she was designed to be a bodyguard, so she's even a little bit faster. The beryllium scanners, they are, as the name implies, scanners designed to pick up the radiation from that beryllium. Now, Carly uses a figure here of 2/3 of the buildings on Earth. She can't go into them. As Denise points out in Stranger, that's an exaggeration. That's an exaggeration of exactly how many buildings actually have beryllium scanners. It is a smaller number. I think it's closer to 1/3 to half. And now to quote from Stranger, continuing the history of enhanced humans. This is Denise. She was asked why, to explain why there is why the enhanced humans have the beryllium trace, and she's kind of surprised by this because she learned about it in while she was still in her creche. And I quote, "Really? I thought everyone knew that. I learned it while I was still in creche. Why was the beryllium tag first applied? Honestly, it was paranoia. We all know what the alphas looked like, right? Big, muscle-bound, and bald. Like those bodybuilders from the 20th century, one of the groups said. I nodded. Was there paranoia about the alphas? Yeah, there was. But the alphas stood out. In a crowd, you could tell who was enhanced and who wasn't. Nothing else was needed. And then 2160 rolled around, and with the new decade came the beta body type. Not quite as perfect as our body type, but still more streamlined than the alphas. Because of that, someone felt something else was needed to make enhanced humans stand out. That led to the Aurelium tag. The practice continues today because people are afraid of us. Seriously, don't you already know this? DuPont nodded. Sometimes it helps to hear it again. That was very concise. You should have gone into public speaking. Why are the norms afraid of us? They created us, after all. Why should they fear their own creation? I stepped away from DuPont and laughed. This wasn't the kind of conversation I was expecting. Why do norms fear us even though they created us? It's human nature to fear what's not understood. The staff geneticists at any creche may understand what goes into our creation. The average citizen doesn't. All they see is a group of people with superior abilities being born at a rate of 1,000 a year. Some of them go right into indentured servitude, but a growing number are being granted freedom. The citizens see our sort as competition for resources, for shelter, for employment. In their eyes, the Aurelium is needed because they can't pick us out of a crowd. Their paranoia is eased and they make it through their days. What's the solution? How do we affect change? I'm not sure that there's anything that can be done about it. Bigotry and paranoia seem to be hardwired into humans. Even our sort have our prejudices. Except that our prejudices are based on actual experience. There's a whole movement dedicated to keeping us down. The number of people who identify as being members of the purist movement is around 2 or 3%. Most of the human race doesn't hate us. And yet, a majority of them won't lift a finger to help us gain our freedom. You should do a bit more research. There's a growing number of senators who support legislation that ends the indentures and sets us all free. Political pandering. Probably, but think about it. Those senators have to worry about re-election every 8 years. Do you think they'd take up a position their constituents didn't support? That'd be a one-way ticket out of office. So, yeah, that, excuse me, I gotta find something else here. We went in, that addresses, repeats what Carly mentioned, the brief history of enhanced humans, and then also talks about the purist movement. There's the purist movement is the largest group stands against enhanced humans. They don't like them. They don't want them. They don't even want them indentured because they see it as a honestly as a sin against God. What I tried to do with them is present a group that perverts religion to their own needs. If you're familiar with the Westboro Baptist Church, they are what I had in mind. They say they're doing it for the purity of the human race, because geneticists are playing God and they're sinning. And unfortunately, their methods are not all that pure. They're a terrorist group. They've been declared a terrorist group, not because they're religious, but because they're a bunch of killers. They regularly bomb creches. They will kill any enhanced human they find. And they also are trying political ways as well to try and end the enhanced human program. There's another group called Natural Way, which does the same thing. Only they've dropped any religious pretense, and just out and out get off on killing enhanced humans. They don't really bomb any of the creches, but they will kill enhanced humans. And if they can kill large numbers of enhanced humans, all the better for them. Give me one moment here. Okay. What I was looking for here is later on in Stranger, Denise is her cover's been blown, and she's being dragged away to the leader of the group that she infiltrated, and she's having a conversation, and she's talking with the who she thought initially had been an ally, an agent from another division who was working undercover, and she's having a conversation with and she's arguing with him about methods, violence versus nonviolence. And then there's this exchange. We can do anything we want. What about all the buildings here on Earth we can't even go near because of their beryllium scanners? The number of buildings that don't allow our sort isn't as large as people think. It's actually around a quarter, a third at the most. The 2/3 figure comes from people like DuPont trying to make things sound worse than they are. End quote. So that's where that is. Neither side is 100% pure on this. You've got people like the purist movement, Natural Way, and just general bigots who portray enhanced humans as evil and should be destroyed. And then you have people on the other side who oh, my mind just went blank. I'm sorry. It's one of the problems with that I have with these videos is that I don't script them. I do them completely off the cuff, and because I never, because I have the feeling sometimes if I have a script, it's more obvious that I'm reading a script because the way I have this set up here, my phone is off to the side here, and then I have my monitor here, and I haven't gotten the knack of reading out of the corner of my eye, if you will. So I'm sorry. The Earth is not the only ones to create enhanced humans. Confed, which is the overarching government controlling a large portion of known space, think Federation, has their own enhanced human program. The difference is on Earth, all of the enhanced humans have the beryllium tag. Enhanced humans born in Confed don't, because in Confed there is no private ownership of enhanced humans. They will produce enhanced humans, but they are owned by the government. Until, well, there are some that break free and they flee, do their best to escape. In fact, Andromeda Reyes, the main character of one of the main characters of The Fast Fading Light, is such an enhanced human. She escaped from Confed with some of her batch brothers and sisters 10 years before the story started. Before the story starts, excuse me. fled actually to Mars and demanded asylum, requested asylum, I should say. And then after a year-long legal battle, they were granted citizenship. The program exists. The Enhanced Human Program continues until 2233, when legislation was finally passed ending the Enhanced Human Program. And at that point, all enhanced humans that were still gestating in their artificial wombs were allowed to come to term. All enhanced humans that were indentured were granted free person status, and there were no more enhanced humans created on Earth legally. Confed still continues in 2263 when the fast fading light takes place. Enhanced humans are still being created in Confed, but that hopefully will be coming to an end soon. Hopefully, at least Andromeda hopes it'll come to an end soon. And one other thing about Andromeda, Earth gets up to the gamma body type, which looks perfectly human. Then there were plans for the next stage, which was the delta body type, which was never produced, as far as most people know. I'm sorry, there are a lot of spoilers in here, but let me keep one. Confed, however, continued. Andromeda, for example, is a delta enhanced human. Physically, if you looked at her, there's nothing out of the ordinary about her except that she's extremely tall. She's 6'3" tall. But aside from that, she looks perfectly human. But she is stronger. For example, she is stronger than the average gamma, a bit faster. And that's really the refinements going forward would be, just trying to get a bit stronger, a bit faster. Eventually, Confed will end their enhanced human program, but that's not going to be for a while. So that's about it. That is a look at my enhanced humans. I'm sorry if it kind of rambled a bit there. But I think I'm going to try and do this on a regular basis, talk a little bit about my future history. And down the road, I'll try and make it a little bit more concise and not quite as rambly. Remember, all the books are on sale right now through New Year's Day, through Smashwords. I'll have a link specifically to that down below. If you do buy one of the books, please make sure you go back and leave a review. Also, you can find my social media links down below there as well. And remember, we are each of us the history of our own. Sorry. Oh, God. Remember, we are each of us the hero of our own stories and the villain of someone else's. Thanks, guys. Bye.